Hi, and welcome to week 1 of the Yarrow wristlet and pouch sew-along. We're going to be talking all things wristlet and pouch today. I hope you're excited to get started. I'm glad you're here, and I think it's going to be a fun day. So let's get to it. If you haven't already, go ahead and download your file from the link. Even if you purchased it early on within the first few days, there's a couple little, like a misnumbered step and a reversed cutting layout on one of the pages. So if you'd want to go ahead and re-download just to make sure you have the most recent version, that would be a great starting point. So I'm just going to show you a couple of the samples that I've made. I don't even think I want to show you the hill mound of samples as I work through the prototype phase and kind of refining everything for this pattern. It is a gigantic mound of samples, and I'm going to be giving them away to my friends and family, so hopefully they really are like, yes, wristlet and pouch, because I have a lot. Here is a dry oilskin wristlet. I've got the zipper by the yard here for the zipper. Finishes off like that. I've got the leather wrist strap with the rivet. And inside, I've got the little zippered pocket and 2 card slots. They can fit multiple cards. You can fit 2-3 cards in each slot, so don't feel like that's a stumbling point, but definitely could add whatever you want to this side. I've seen somebody do the same card zipper slot on this one, which is cool, or even add just a simple patch slip pocket. Kind of a good little option to give yourself whatever you need to make it work for you. So this is a piece of leather. I ordered these with the zipper by the yard, and I kind of like that because then it gives you a spot to put a leather tab. But we'll go over some of these options at the very end. There's a ton of options, and it's really a fun way to personalize your project. So here is, I think this one might be my favorite. Yeah, I think it is. This is made of a 6.5 ounce weight twill, cotton twill. You can probably get twill in a million different colors, so this would be a really fun option. It's not too heavy of a fabric. It's not going to be expensive at all, and it works really well. I find that the 809, if you're wondering about the fusibles, that adheres really well to something with a little bit of stability like that. Usually 809 can be kind of finicky with quilting cottons or anything lighter weight. It tends to like wrinkle up goofy, but on a little bit heavier fabric, it performs really nicely, at least in my experience. So anyway, this has the optional leather pocket. A couple of my testers did little cute leather pockets with rivets, so I'm like, yeah, let's add that to the pattern because they're pretty cool. Jordan, Katie. Anyway, this also has zipper by the yard. I added just my kind of a standard little knotted pull here, the wrist strap, and inside view here. Love this print. It's got the little zipper pocket. Okay, so there's what the end looks like. And on for the pouches, here's this little cutie. This is a cotton canvas by Luckett Baker for Kokka Fabrics. It's kind of old, so maybe you could track it down on Etsy. This is the 8-inch zipper, just a regular nylon handbag zipper. Okay, it has one larger pocket, be perfect for like chapsticks, anything bigger, bills, and then one card slot, which again would fit multiple cards in it. I've been making mine, here's the end. I've been making mine with just the D-ring. I don't make an extra strap for it. I've seen a lot of people hang keys off of it, which is a great idea. I think it's a super one to just throw in a bag and you know where your keys are and all that good stuff. Another one, this is a cotton canvas as well, again with the D-ring and zipper by the yard. And made a little zipper pull with that. Here's the inside. Nice woven fabric for the lining, and then we've got the pockets in there. Okay, this is the last one that I'm just going to show you Again, this is the nylon zipper that I carry in the shop. I don't know, did I show this little end? I love this little end. It's the cutest little tiny gusset. If you love making bags, this tiny gusset really is so cute. Anyway, cats. Who doesn't love cats? And here's the zipper end, little D-ring, and again, just tied leather pull on this one. I just left off the pocket on this, just a simple pouch then, so that's always an option. Same with the wristlet. If you want to make the inside plain, if you want to give it a practice shot and leave off some of the stuff on the inside, that's usually my route that I go when I'm making samples or prototypes for different designs. It's just easier to leave off the inside stuff and figure that out later. Here's the little ends, these ends. And here's the wristlet ends. Anyway, I think that's about it. It's just important to realize that with an asymmetrical design like this, so you got the one curve here and the one curve here, that you just have to pay a little bit closer attention to the cutting when you're cutting. So that's kind of it. Try not to be too hard on yourself, because I think we all tend to be really critical of our sewing, and when we're trying anything just new or different, or we think we have it down pat just because we looked at it and it looks fairly easy. You kind of tend to gloss over things, and do the same thing. It's important to just give yourself some grace and realize that it'll work out. It'll do great. So I think next we are going to do some of the cutting. I did want to point out that if you've done the petal pouch, I think that the Yarrow is a great next step. It has the same zipper end tab. It has a little more, curve to it with the darts and everything. But if you've done this, I think the Yarrow is a great next stepping point. So I just thought I'd point that out. That petal pouch is available in my Everyday Essentials booklet that's got the 3 different patterns: the tote, petal pouch, and the minimalist wallet. So there's that. Also, if you've sewn the redwood tote, the zipper install is similar to the redwood. It's got the same zipper end tab, the same kind of where the zipper dives down into the seam allowance, as well as the hillside tote. The hillside tote has that same zipper end tab, same zipper install. So if you've practiced on those, then you might want to give it a shot too. So just like to go over, what might help decide what your next step is. So maybe we'll go over some of the materials and supplies you'll need, and then do some cutting. So thanks for joining along. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the supplies, material suggestions, any little things that you might want to grab out before you get started to help everything run smoothly. I've just pulled a couple things that I'm going to sew with here during the sew along. This is going to be for my wristlet. This is a canvas, cotton canvas. I think that was the same one as I showed you before, the little pouch guy. So, but he's going to be a wristlet now. And then I've got this kind of woven quilting weight for the lining. I've got the 12-inch handbag zipper and then the 4-inch interior zipper. This is what I grabbed for the pouch. I made that one before, so I'm going to do this cute little dotted lining. I've got my 8-inch nylon zipper. This is a cotton linen blend. This is Robert Kaufman's Essex, and this is a little bit heavier, almost, I say it's a lightweight canvas cotton linen blend. This is by Sarah Golden for Andover Fabrics, and that is going to be the outside of my pouch. Here's the twill. This one is from Blackbird Fabric. Ventana twill is one of theirs, and maybe even another one. So that would be a good one to do a Google search on. The only thing that would be harder would be a waxed canvas. Originally I did think it would be okay for it, but I think it's just a little too much stiffness, especially for when you're turning it right side out. Now, of course, if you've used wax canvas enough, I think it would be totally fine. Okay, I do want to mention that if you're, teetering between which size you want to do, the pouch is going to be a little bit trickier to sew, just because anything smaller is going to be harder. You have to be more precise, more technically accurate sewer to get everything lined up and looking good. So it's just the nature of how things are. If you've ever sewn Barbie clothes or any tiny doll clothes, you'll know that smaller things are not necessarily easier. Okay, so side tangent about the cork. Yes, you can use cork. If you're used to using cork, I think you'll do great. If you've never used cork before, I would not try it out the first time on this project, just because of the curves and all the little details. Here is a wax canvas version I did. This is a lighter weight wax canvas in my opinion. If you're not used to using wax canvas, I would not recommend it for your first try through here. So, just a little info on selecting fabric. So the other things you need are a 1/2 inch swivel snap and a 1/2 inch D-ring. That's if you're going to do the wristlet. If you just wanted to do the pouch with a key clip, you could definitely easily just grab a D-ring and be all set with that. The zipper by the yard, here's a little chunk of that. So if you wanted to grab like 23, 24 inches of zipper tape, you could do both projects with that. Then you of course need to select your pull, and then that should be all set for that. I don't recommend a metal zipper or a 1 inch wide zipper for this project. So these are both 1 1/4 inches. This is what we tested through. This is what all the prototypes were made with. I did try one with a metal zipper. I did not like it. It was a number 5. I just didn't like the way it functioned around the corner. I didn't think it felt as smooth or as operable, and I think that these types of zippers are really easily found and shortened, so I think that is another benefit to using that. Of course, you can use it with whatever you have. If you have a 1 inch nylon or 1 inch metal, give it a try, and it might be something that you like. Here's the little piece of leather for the wrist strap. This is the rustic color that's in my shop. You can also make a fabric wrist strap. I love using this ruler size for this project. It's a 6x12 ruler. I think it's perfect. It's not too big, it's not too little, and I use it throughout the whole project. So definitely grab a clear gridded ruler if you don't have one already. You're gonna need some marking tools. I've got, this is the chalk mechanical pencil. I use a mechanical pencil for marking quite a bit, especially if it's stuff that is on the inside when you're sewing that you won't be able to see on the outside. You'll want a glue pen. This is a Sewline brand, but it's a tiny little glue stick. So I would definitely recommend getting one of those. It will come in handy for the final assembly. And you can use it also for attaching the zipper. So that's a good one to have. I have this little measuring gauge. I actually have a couple of them. I just find this really nice to have next to my sewing machine. This is another seam gauge. I use this fairly often. I think I use this one more for this project than I have in a lot of other projects. These are the Clover binder clips. Of course, you need a rotary cutter, dressmaking shears. This is nice and sharp to get that little tiny gusset corner cut out. This is one of my favorite scissors for small detailed work. The other thing I'd like to talk about is interfacing. This is the Pellon 809 Decor Bond. This is 44 inches wide. It's stiff. It's not woven. It's, what is this, polyester? 100% polyester. So I do like this for sewing this project. It gives a lot of stability to those main panel pieces, which is what you need when you're going around a curve and manipulating that fabric. It gives it a nice sturdy base. You could use Decoville Light, and I can't remember the other one. If I remember it, I'll add it in the notes or something somewhere. This is the Pellon's SF101 Shape Flex. This is the fusible woven interfacing. It's only 20 inches wide. You can get it in different widths, but this is the most typical that I've seen anywhere. That's gonna go on your lining pieces and for the wristlet. So the wristlet is the fusible woven on the lining, the little bit heavier stabilizer, This is the Pellin 809, that's on your exterior, so exterior lining. And then for the pouch, I just do both exterior and lining pieces with the SF101. The other thing you want to maybe have on hand is the pinking shears. This one I took from my mom. I told her I love this one, and it's worked great for, I don't know, we were sewing with this 30 years ago. Then the other thing is a rivet. If you wanted rivets, that's optional. We'll go over that more when we get to that part. These are an 8mm head with a 6mm post. The other thing is the pattern does include, of course, the main panel piece is a shape, and I find it's best to just cut from the shape. You're going to want to print those off. So let's see, I think I wrote on the cutting tips page, that's page 3, and it says which pages to print if you're doing the pouch. So if you're doing the pouch, you can print pages 13 and 14, and the wristlet pieces to print are on 15 to 18. That way, if you are a type of person who just reads the instructions on a computer, you can print those off. There's also, if you like using a printable template, that's why I provided them. There's only one piece on the wristlet that you have to assemble. You just tape to match this letter to this letter. So, and then I give you a final measurement as to how tall that ends up being. Make sure that your Adobe is up to date, that your printer driver is up to date, and that you set the scale to 100%. And when you print that first page of the pouch, I would print both of them at the same time, both pages, and then just check your text box. That's going to measure 1 inch or 4 centimeters. If you don't want to print out rectangles and want to keep organized, they've got these little labels. There's the metric sheet, and then also the imperial or inches sheet. Okay, I think we're ready to get cutting. So you'll see me cutting through scrap pieces here. If you want to follow the cutting layouts, if you're working from fat quarters or yardage, that is on page 4, are the cutting layouts. So, okay, here's where that ruler comes in handy. And then I like to hold the ruler like this as my own kind of like pattern weight. Just make sure you trim that as accurate as you can. This is what I've got. If you want to also just rough cut these pieces a little bit larger than the template, go ahead and do that, and then fuse your interfacing and then use the template for cutting it to size. It's just another option. There are, of course, lots of options. I've got this front pocket template, and this dotted line represents if you wanted to cut it from a leather or vinyl or anything else that doesn't fray, and use that as the front pocket. I'm gonna probably try and show you each. So I'm gonna cut it out of fabric with this one, and then I'm gonna cut it from leather out of that one, and just show you that as we go along. And then we need a little piece for the wrist strap. This is the strap holder. And then another small piece for the zipper end tab. Those sizes are both in the pattern. And they're the same for both the pouch size and the wristlet size, just to try and keep everything simple. Okay, the beauty of using a woven fabric like this one is that there really is no right or wrong side, so that might be an advantage for you. But if you look on the cutting layouts for the lining fabric, for the wristlet, you're going to place the fabric's right side facing up, and the curve is going to be at the top left. So you'll only cut one of those, just one. All right, so that's your one lining piece, and then the rest are rectangles. So I'm going to cut those with my ruler and rotary cutter. If you want to use your templates, print those out and cut around those. If you have a directional fabric like stripes like this, you would want to cut your pieces just like they are shown on the cutting layout vertically, so they run the same as the lining piece. But it is a fun technique to mix it up, so I'm going to cut it horizontally instead. I'm just going to cut the width this way instead of cutting the width following the grain. These are my lining pieces, and I kind of like to lay them out like this just so that I know what I've got going on. It's very easy to like rotate this and then wonder what this is for. So if you kind of keep everything oriented height by width, it's going to make your life a little bit easier, I think. Now we'll go on to the pouch. Okay, I'm going to try and fussy cut a cat kind of in the middle of the pouch because they're so cute. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting the interfacing for the pouch since we're at it. And this is a little tip that I can give you. If you've got your 20-inch wide fusible woven, I like to do kind of just a strip here that's the width of the pattern. So I'll just kind of rough cut that. I'm going to fold it in half. And then in half again. And then my piece is just like the most perfect size to cut all 4 of them at one time. So you're cutting 4 layers. They're going to be the right orientation when you fold them like that. Maybe I'll show it to you again one more time. So I just cut a strip that's 20 inches wide off the bolt, and I've got my pattern piece facing this way, okay? And then I'm going to fold it in half, and then in half again. And then I can cut all of them at once. Now I'm going to cut for the wristlet. If the glue side is facing up, which kind of is maybe the easiest way to explain it while you're just cutting freeform like this, is to make sure that you get it interfaced correctly. So this is the piece that goes, this is my right side, this is my wrong side technically, even though you can't tell with this fabric. Glue side facing up, and this is how I cut it, with the corner at the left. The rest of these lining piece, or the miscellaneous pieces that get the woven interfacing, I'm just going to cut with this method where you just take the cut pieces and lay them down on the glue side. That's how I have it anyway. That would be another thing to watch here. Your pocket, it's designed to be like a mirror image, so that's why this curve is here, this curve is here. You don't have to do it that way, that's just how I did it. You could also round both corners or none. But anyway, I'm just going to use my pieces that I cut from fabric and lay it out and cut around them. I might not even use it on this because the pocket's so small. I think it's fine. So I'm just going to leave that off of there. You can if you're using a lighter weight fabric and want to have that stability, but that's how that'll be. This is the only piece that I don't ever put interfacing on. You could. It's the zipper pocket, the interior zipper pocket for the wristlet. Now just the 809. All right, now we're going to take it over to the pressing area with your iron. And before I take it over to the iron, I am going to match up every single piece, just how it should be pressed. And I'm going to make a nice little stack. I'm and put all the exterior pieces together, all the lining pieces together to keep it organized. So glue side down, I'm just gonna match that up. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just gonna readjust it while I iron. I don't usually put interfacing on these. It's so small. You can, if you want to. So the card slot and the card slot lining on the pouch. You can add it. I don't. It's up to you. Your preference. So I'm going to take it to the iron and press it, and then that should be it. Okay, I did want to make sure I mentioned that pressing tip for the 809. I put the piece of interfacing down, match it up, and then I press it from the fabric side. So I'm pressing it from the fabric side. I feel like that lets the glue adhere the best it can. And then, so when I have it on my mat, my pressing mat, then I just leave it there. So I press it and I leave it there until it cools down. And I find that that gives a really nice stiff, like this is cooled down and it's nice and stiff and sturdy and adhered. There's no like separating, and I just think that's one way to try it out if it hasn't worked for you in the past. Okay, so I think we're going to get started sewing a little bit today, and we're going to make the strap holder with the D-ring and a fabric strap for the wristlet, and we'll also put together a leather strap. This is how your strap holder piece will be. We've got just a little 1-inch strip here so that there's some uninterfaced area on the top and bottom that is going to reduce bulk when you're sewing it. So you first want to press it wrong sides together in half, and then that'll make a center crease, and you'll bring both those long edges to the center and then fold it in half one more time. So you have a nice little long piece here. We're going to take it over to the sewing machine and sew along this open folded edge. So just a top stitch right along the edge. Okay, so I've top stitched along that edge, so I've got a complete little strap here. And then I'm going to thread it through this D-ring and then fold it in half, matching those raw edges. So you have a little loop through there. And then we're going to baste it in place right along the raw edges, so we have a secure little final strap. And then that part is done. You can set that aside till we get a little further down the line. Okay, so then this is the wrist strap, and it's the same set of steps. So if you'd like, you can use interfacing. If your fabric is thick enough, you might not have to. You're going to fold it in half the long way, matching those raw edges. Press that, and then bring those to the center, those long edges to the center, and then in half again. And so I'm going to walk mine over to my iron and get that ironed up. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is all pressed and ready to go. So now we're going to grab our swivel snap, and we don't need to do any top stitching before this step. And we're going to thread it on. And then we're going to open up these ends here. You can't tell with mine, but this is the wrong side because, you know, as you can see, I've folded it wrong sides together. But we're going to put the fabric right sides together at this 90-degree angle, matching it up to those edges. Okay, it's fully opened. And then we're going to sew a diagonal line where these points intersect. So that's starting at this corner all the way to that corner. So I've sewn that diagonal line from corner to corner there. And then I'm just going to trim this down to a 1/4 inch. Seam allowance is fine. Toss those. And then I just finger press the seam open. You could take it over and press it with your iron. And then you're going to refold it with those previous pressing lines. Now, if you want to, you of course can make your wrist strap shorter, longer. It's up to you. This is kind of a length that I felt comfortable with, and I think it works well, but if it doesn't work for you, that is totally fine. So we are going to take it over to the machine, and we're going to sew top stitching along both of these long edges, so along this open edge first is what I typically do, and then along this other edge. All right, so I've got my machine stitch length to a 3. I just find a longer stitch length like that is easier for a strap. And when I get to where the swivel is, since it's not attached anywhere right now, it's just threaded through, you can just slide it out of the way. So just keep sliding it down. So I'm going to just pick an end or location where I want that to be, whatever looks best if you got a certain fabric design, and then I'm just going to sew a line of stitching straight across. You could do a little box, you could do a box with a rectangle, but what we're looking for is to secure this in one location. And you could also do a rivet, and I'll show you that with the leather version. Okay, so here is the leather wrist strap. I have a rivet press. You could also just use a hole punch and let's see, some wax thread and hand sew it like I did on, this is just pearl cotton, but you would punch a hole and then sew it kind of like a buttonhole, I guess, or a button to kind of attach those layers together. I think that would be pretty sturdy, but I'm going to use my rivet press. So I'm just going to thread this through, and I think it's about 1 inch is what I usually kind of go for. Kind of bend it back on itself. And then I'm going to take this other end. Hopefully you can see that. So I've got it passed through about 1 inch, and then I'm going to take the other raw end and tuck it in between. I'm going to butt it kind of all the way up to where the hardware is, the swivel snap. Just that kind of helps it, I feel like keeps it stable. So I've got it sandwiched in there. This is a nice little end. If you wanted to round that with a punch to round it, you can, and that's just an option. Got my rotary hole punch. This is the smallest setting, and I'm going to punch a hole through all the layers. You could mark it beforehand. I've done it enough where I don't really care if it's completely centered. I don't think anything handmade is perfect. So then I've got my rivet. My hole is punched through all the layers. Push that post part through. And then snap this little cap on the back. So I've got that. And then I'm going to use my press to secure it. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. Little leather wrist strap. You could also use a Chicago screw here. You would still need to punch a hole and then push the Chicago screw through and then tighten it with the screwdriver. But that's just kind of a rundown of that. So here are the two kind of examples, fabric and leather. Okay, so this is the end of day 1. I think we've got everything set up really well. We've got all the pieces cut, interfaced. We've made our little strap holder with the D-ring, got that together, and we've made 2 kinds of wrist straps. You can do the fabric or the leather. So that should get you started on just kind of the basics. Okay, I think that's it. If you have any questions, email me back. If you're watching this via the newsletter, just reply with any questions and I'll try and cover it in the following week's video. Okay, well, it was fun sewing along with you today. I hope you have a great week in between, and I will see you next week for week 2. Bye. Oh, the sweater's big.